ceremony ended in chaos. Guards struggled to calm the furious rulers, and whispers of rebellion filled the air. Yet she walked proudly beside Daniel, guiding him down the steps with grace. The cameras across the galaxy captured every moment, transmitting the shocking news to billions. Miss Universe has chosen a human husband, the headlines. The humans' confusion. Daniel sat in the shining chamber of the intergalactic palace. His hands trembled as alien servants in glowing robes placed food before him. Strange fruits that floated, meat that shimmered like crystal, and drinks that glowed with sparks. He stared at them without touching anything. His heart had not slowed since the ceremony. He had never been more confused in his life. One moment he was sitting quietly at the back of the crowd, just a tourist on Earth's invitation to watch the ceremony. The next moment, the most powerful and admired woman in the galaxy had chosen him as her husband. Nothing made sense. Why him? What did she see in him? Across the room, Miss Universe sat calmly. Her silver skin shimmered under the lights, and her violet eyes seemed to glow whenever they fell on him. She looked comfortable, as if nothing unusual had happened. But for Daniel, it was the opposite. He felt small, weak, and out of place, surrounded by alien leaders and guards. He remembered the faces of the alien lords when she pointed at him, their anger, their laughter, their insults. The words unworthy and primitive still rang in his ears. He felt like a mistake had been made. He felt like he was only here by accident. Finally, he gathered the courage to speak. His voice was quiet, almost breaking. "Why me?" he asked again. "I am not a prince, not a soldier. I have nothing to give you." His words were heavy with doubt. Miss Universe smiled, not mocking but soft. "You have what they do not," she said. Her voice was calm, but her words carried weight. "I saw you before the ceremony, Daniel. You gave your seat to an elder alien who could not stand. No one else noticed, but I did. That is why I chose you." Daniel blinked. His mind went back to the small moment he had forgotten. Before the ceremony began, he had helped a weak alien elder. It was nothing to him, just a normal act of kindness. But to her it meant something great. He felt his cheeks heat with embarrassment. That was nothing," he said quietly. She shook her head. "To you it was nothing. To me it was everything," she replied. "These lords and princes only care about power. You care about others without asking for reward. That is what makes you worthy." Her words echoed in his chest, but confusion still filled him. "But now they hate me," he whispered. "You heard them. They will never accept me. I will bring trouble for you." Miss Universe leaned closer, her violet eyes burning with a fire he had never seen before. "Let them hate," she said. "I do not need their approval. I need the truth, and the truth is in you." Daniel looked away. His mind was torn. Part of him wanted to run, to hide, to go back to his small and simple life. But another part of him felt something stronger. He felt that her choice had meaning beyond what he understood. Outside the chamber, the angry voices of the alien lords echoed through the halls. They demanded the council stop this union. They plotted. They whispered of revenge. Inside, Daniel sat silently, caught between fear and destiny. The galaxy had seen a shocking choice, but for Daniel, the storm had only begun. He did not know if he was ready. He did not know if he could survive what was coming. All he knew was that Miss Universe had chosen him, and her eyes told him she would not change her mind. And so, while the galaxy burned with questions, Daniel's heart burned with confusion. His life was no longer his own, and every step forward would lead him deeper into danger. The hidden reason. The night inside the intergalactic palace was restless. Outside the chamber, alien voices rose in anger. The Great Lord shouted. The council demanded order, and soldiers marched through the golden halls. But inside the private room, there was silence. Daniel sat with his hands pressed together, trying to steady his breathing. His heart was still lost in questions. Miss Universe sat across from him, calm like the surface of a still lake. Her silver skin glowed softly, and her violet eyes followed him with patience. She had chosen him before the galaxy, yet Daniel still could not understand why. He finally spoke again, his voice almost breaking. "You could have chosen anyone, a warrior, a ruler, even a godlike being. Why risk everything for me? I am just me." She leaned forward slightly, her eyes glowing brighter. "Daniel, the galaxy worships power, but power alone cannot build peace. It only creates fear. I saw something in you no ruler has, something rare. I saw courage that does not need armies, and kindness that does not need reward." Daniel frowned, trying to believe her words, but his doubt was heavy. "But courage? I am afraid now," he whispered. "I do not feel strong. I feel trapped." Her lips curved into a gentle smile. "Do you know why your fear does not matter?" she asked. "Because true courage is not the absence of fear. True courage is moving forward even when you are afraid. And you, Daniel, have already done that." Daniel lowered his gaze, remembering again the small moment before the ceremony when he had offered his seat to the elder alien. He never thought such a simple action could mean so much, yet to her it was proof. She continued, her voice soft but unshaken. "The galaxy does not know it yet, but storms are coming. Enemies watch from the shadows, the council is broken, the empires fight among themselves. They believe on Ellie power will save them, but I believe it is something else. I believe it is you." Daniel looked up sharply, her words striking him like a wave. "Me? I am not a savior. I am not a soldier." "You are human," she answered. "Humans have something the galaxy does not understand. You endure, you love, you fight for each other. That is what makes your kind dangerous, not your weapons, but your spirit." Her words filled Daniel with both pride and fear. He wanted to believe her, but he still felt so small. "If what you say is true," he asked quietly, "then why reveal it like this, before everyone? Why not keep me hidden, safe from their anger?" Her gaze turned firm and her voice hardened. "Because they needed to see it. They needed to know that even if they mock, even if they resist, the choice is already made. I chose you not only for myself, but for the galaxy to see. You are the beginning of something they cannot control." Daniel's heart raced again, not from fear, but from the weight of her words. She had not chosen him by accident. She had chosen him with purpose. A purpose he did not yet understand, but one that felt larger than his life. Outside, the pounding footsteps of guards grew louder. The voices of angry lords shook the air. They wanted blood, they wanted revenge. Daniel knew they would never accept him easily. But when he looked at her, sitting calm, her violet eyes unshaken, he felt a spark inside him. The spark was not strength, not yet, but something smaller and deeper, a seed of belief. Maybe she was right. Maybe he had something the galaxy could not measure. Maybe this was why she had chosen him. As the doors trembled under the fists of furious lords, Miss Universe reached across the table and touched his hand again. "Do not fear them," she whispered. "The galaxy may hate you, but I will not. And soon, they will see why." Daniel closed his eyes. Confusion still heavy, but the seed of hope had taken root. The hidden reason was not only about kindness, it was about something greater, a destiny forming in silence, a storm waiting to rise. The threatening council, the great chamber of the Galactic Council, was a storm of voices. The walls of the hall rose high, carved from crystal that pulsed with energy. Dozens of alien leaders filled the seats, their faces twisted with rage. Scaled hands slammed against tables, wings flared, and glowing eyes burned with fury. At the center stood Miss Universe, tall and calm, with Daniel by her side. Daniel felt the weight of their stares like sharp blades. Every whisper, every glare told him he was unwanted. His chest tightened, and he wondered again why he was standing here at all. Yet Miss Universe's hand remained steady in his. She did not tremble. She did not bow. One of the lords, a massive figure with 4 arms and eyes like molten fire, rose from his seat. His voice thundered across the chamber. "This is an insult to all empires. You were crowned to bring honor to the galaxy, and yet you choose this weak human. He has no power, no bloodline, no legacy." The hall roared with agreement. Daniel lowered his eyes, shame pressing on him like a heavy stone. But before he could speak, Miss Universe lifted her chin. Her voice rang clear, cutting through the chaos. "You see weakness where I see strength. You worship crowns and armies, but I choose a heart that does not bend to pride." Her words silenced some, but others hissed and shouted louder. Another leader, cloaked in shadows with a voice like ice, sneered. "He is nothing. If you keep him, you risk war. The council will not allow a human to stand equal with us." Daniel's heart sank deeper. The thought of being the cause of war crushed him. He opened his mouth to protest, to tell her she could let him go, but before the words escaped, she tightened her grip on his hand and spoke firmly. "I will not release him. My choice is mine alone, and no council, no empire, no threat will change it." The hall erupted again. As some leaders shouted for his removal, others demanded punishment. A few sat quietly, watching with sharp curiosity, as if waiting to see what this human might do. Finally, the council's high speaker, a tall figure whose skin glowed like liquid silver, raised a hand. The chamber fell quiet. His voice was deep and heavy. "If you insist on this human, then he must prove himself. He must show the galaxy he is worthy to stand by you. If he fails, he will die, and the shame will be yours." Daniel's stomach twisted. His breath caught. The words felt like a death sentence. He had no great strength, no special skill. What test could he possibly survive among beings who could crush him with a single hand? Miss Universe did not flinch. She turned to the high speaker and answered calmly, "Then give him your trials. Let the galaxy watch, and let the truth reveal itself." The leaders laughed cruelly, their voices echoing in the crystal hall. Some muttered that the human would not last a moment. Others smiled darkly, eager to watch his fall. Daniel felt cold sweat on his back. He whispered to her, his voice shaking, "Why are you doing this? I can't win against them. I'm not like you." She looked at him, her violet eyes firm and unyielding. "Daniel, you do not need to be like them. You only need to be you. Trust yourself as I trust you." Her words struck him deeply. He wanted to believe, but fear clouded him. Still, as he stood before the most powerful beings in the galaxy, something inside whispered that turning back was no longer possible. The council had demanded a test, and soon he would face it. The chamber shook with final judgment. The high speaker's voice echoed, "The human shall be tested, and the galaxy will see his worth, or his death." Miss Universe stood tall, defiant, while Daniel stood beside her, his heart pounding. The storm of the council had been unleashed. And the path ahead was darker than ever. Yet somewhere deep inside a spark waited to grow. The test of worth. The arena of trials was carved into the heart of a dying moon. Its walls glowed with strange lights, and the ground shook with hidden machines beneath the surface. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy filled the stands, their voices like thunder as they waited for the human to enter. Daniel stood at the gate, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst. He had never been in a fight to the death, never held a weapon beyond simple tools. Around him, alien guards whispered that the human would not last 5 minutes. Some even laughed, betting on how quickly he would fail. Miss Universe stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder, her eyes burned with steady fire. "Do not think of them," she said softly. "Think only of yourself. Use your mind, your heart. They cannot test what they do not understand." The gate opened with a roar, and Daniel stepped into the arena. The air smelled of smoke and metal. A voice echoed across the stands. "The human will face the trials. If he survives, he will be accepted. If he falls, he will die." The crowd roared, hungry for blood. The first challenge rose from the ground. Metal beasts shaped like giant wolves, their eyes glowing red. They snarled, their teeth like blades. Daniel froze, fear gripping him. He had no sword. No shield, only his bare hands. The crowd laughed, expecting him to run, but instead of fleeing, Daniel remembered his childhood on Earth, how he used to calm stray dogs with food and soft words. He crouched low, keeping his hands open. His voice was shaky but gentle. "Easy, I'm not here to hurt you." The beasts paused, their red eyes flickering. The crowd gasped. No one had ever tried to calm the machines. Daniel noticed a small panel on their necks, pulsing with light. While the beasts hesitated, he moved quickly, pressing the panels, one by one, their glowing eyes dimmed, they collapsed harmlessly at his feet. The stands erupted in shock. He had defeated the first trial without force, only with calm and cleverness. The second challenge rose. A river of fire cut across the arena, and the only path forward was a bridge of crumbling stones. Above, giant winged creatures circled, waiting to strike if he stumbled. Daniel's legs shook. Fear gripped him again, but he remembered Miss Universe's words. "Move forward even when you are afraid." He crouched low, testing each step. His balance was poor, but he moved with care. When a winged creature swooped down, he threw a piece of loose stone, distracting it. Slowly, painfully, He crossed the burning river. His body shook, sweat covering his skin, but he made it. The crowd was silent now, confused. The third challenge was worse. A towering alien warrior stepped into the arena, armored from head to toe. His forearms carried weapons that shimmered with energy. He towered over Daniel, his voice like thunder. "You do not belong here, human. You will die." Daniel's knees almost gave way. He had no weapon, no chance. The warrior charged, the ground shaking under his weight. Daniel rolled aside, barely escaping the first strike. Dust filled his lungs. He grabbed a broken spear from the ground, holding it clumsily. He could not fight with strength, so he used his speed, dodging again and again. Every strike missed by inches. The alien grew frustrated, heavier in his swings. Finally, Daniel saw his chance. The warrior's weapon struck the ground and stuck for a moment. With all his strength, Daniel jammed the broken spear into the weak joint of the armor. The warrior roared, falling to one knee. The crowd gasped. Daniel did not kill him. Instead, he stepped back, dropping the weapon. His chest heaved, but his voice was steady. "I will not take your life. I am not here to be like you. I am here to be me." The arena fell into silence. Even the council members watching leaned forward. Daniel had passed the third trial, not with strength, but with mercy. The final choice. The arena floor was stained with dust and smoke. Daniel stood in the center, his chest heaving, his clothes torn, his arms trembling from exhaustion. Around him, the crowd of thousands sat in stunned silence. The human had survived, not by power, but by wit, courage, and mercy. The great council watched from their crystal seats above. Some whispered in disbelief, others fumed with rage. They had expected a quick death, but instead, Daniel had endured. The high speaker rose, his silver skin glowing under the lights. His deep voice filled the chamber. "The trials are complete. The human stands alive. Now the choice must be made." All eyes turned to Miss Universe. She stepped forward gracefully, her silver skin glowing brighter than the stars above. Her violet eyes locked onto Daniel. Her voice rang clear, strong, and unshaken. "Before all empires and rulers, I make my choice. This human is my husband." The chamber erupted like thunder. Some shouted in fury, others sat frozen. The lords who had mocked Daniel slammed their fists in anger. "Unacceptable," one roared. "This insults every empire." Another hissed, "You shame the crown with this weak creature." But Miss Universe did not waver. She raised her hand, silencing even the angriest voices. "Strength is not only in blood or power," she said, her words echoing across the arena. "Strength is in the heart that refuses to break, in the spirit that chooses mercy when it could take life. Daniel has shown what none of you could. He is stronger than all your crowns combined." Daniel's knees nearly gave out as the weight of her words hit him. He felt unworthy, yet her voice gave him strength. He looked up at the galaxy's leaders, their faces filled with pride, anger, or fear. For the first time, he did not feel small. He felt seen. The high speaker studied them in silence, the glowing figure's eyes cared as if measuring the truth. Finally, his voice rumbled like distant thunder. "The choice of Miss Universe cannot be undone. If she claims him, then so it shall be." A wave of shock rolled across the chamber. Some rulers stormed out in anger, swearing revenge. Others stayed, staring at Daniel with new and careful eyes. The galaxy had changed in that moment. A human now stood beside the most powerful woman in existence. Miss Universe walked to Daniel, her movements graceful and proud. She reached out and took his hand before the crowd. Together they stood, fragile against the galaxy, yet unbroken. The cameras flashed, broadcasting their union across countless worlds. Billions would see it, and none would forget it. Daniel whispered, his voice shaky. "They will come for me, for us." She squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes burning with fire. "Let them come. I do not fear them, and soon they will learn why." The crowd's roar turned into something different, not only anger, but whispers. A seed of doubt had been planted in their hearts. If a simple human could survive the trials, what else were humans capable of? If one man could stand against empires, what could all of Earth do if united? The council dismissed the ceremony with heavy hearts, but the truth could not be erased. The final choice had been made. The galaxy had witnessed it. The human had been chosen, and no force could change it now. As Daniel walked out of the arena beside her, he felt the fear still inside him. But it was no longer alone. Alongside it burned something new, a fragile but growing strength. He was no longer just Daniel. He was the human who had been chosen, the human who now carried the weight of galaxies on his shoulders. And in that moment, though he did not fully understand, he knew his life and the galaxy would never be the same again. A new beginning. The galaxy buzzed with shock for many cycles after the ceremony. News streams across thousands of worlds repeated the same words. Miss Universe chose a human. Some called it madness, others called it weakness. But for many, it was something far more dangerous: hope. Daniel sat quietly in the private quarters of the palace, his body still sore from the trials, bruises covering his arms and chest. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of the alien lords, their fury, their hatred, their disbelief. And yet, when he opened his eyes, he saw her, Miss Universe, sitting calmly beside him. Her presence was steady, like a shield against the storm outside. He whispered, "I don't understand. Why me? Why risk everything when the galaxy hates me?" She turned her violet eyes toward him, her silver skin glowing softly in the dim light. "Because love and truth are worth the risk," she said. "You are not weak, Daniel. You are proof that humanity's spirit cannot be broken. That is what they fear, not you, but what you represent." Daniel's heart ached with both fear and pride. He had never thought of himself as special. He was just a man, simple, ordinary. But now billions knew his name, and billions hated it too. His life would never again belong only to him. The next day, they walked together into the great halls of the palace. Cameras hovered above, recording every step. Soldiers lined the walls, not to protect them, but to watch them carefully. The council had accepted the choice, but their anger still burned. Daniel felt it in every glance. Yet beside him, Miss Universe walked tall, her chin high, her hand firmly holding his. As they passed, whispers spread through the crowds. Some mocked, some cursed, but others watched with quiet wonder. A few even bowed their heads slightly, as if sensing something greater. For the first time, Daniel felt he was not just an outsider, but a symbol. Later on the balcony overlooking the alien city, Miss Universe spoke to him again. "Do you see them? They fear you, but they also wonder about you. That wonder will grow, Daniel. It will spread like fire, and one day, the galaxy will not laugh at humans. They will fear them." Daniel looked out at the sea of stars beyond the city. His voice was soft. "But I'm just one man. I don't know how to carry all of this." She placed her hand on his cheek, her voice firm yet gentle. "You do not carry it alone. You carry it with me, and with every human who will come after you." He swallowed hard, his chest tightening with emotion. He was still afraid, but he understood now. This was bigger than him, bigger than her. This was about humanity itself. When night came, the two of them stood together under the stars. The galaxy was no longer the same. The empires had been shaken, the council had been challenged, and the people had witnessed something they would never forget. Daniel closed his eyes, breathing deeply. He knew battles were still ahead. He knew enemies would rise, but he also knew one truth. He was no longer just a man from Earth. He was the human chosen by Miss Universe, and together they would face whatever came. And so began a new chapter. A chapter where a human heart stood against empires, where love defied crowns, and where the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity was small, but never weak, fragile, but never broken. For in the heart of one human, they had seen the strength of an entire world. The storm ahead. The days after the ceremony were uneasy. The palace of the Intergalactic Council stood like a fortress, but inside its walls, whispers of rebellion spread. Alien lords who had been humiliated by Daniel's survival gathered in secret chambers, plotting. Their pride had been wounded, and they could not allow a human to stand as the chosen husband of Miss Universe. Daniel felt the weight of their hatred every time he stepped into the halls. Guards glared at him with sharp eyes. Servants whispered behind his back. Some spat the word human, like it was an insult. He tried to ignore it, but each day the pressure grew heavier. Miss Universe, however, remained calm. Her voice was steady, her steps graceful. She never let go of his hand when they walked through the palace. Her defiance burned brighter than their anger. Still, even she knew the storm was coming, and it could not be ignored. One evening, she led Daniel into a hidden chamber deep inside the palace. Its walls glowed faintly with starlight crystals and strange symbols were carved into the floor. She spoke quietly, her voice softer than he had ever heard it. Daniel, the galaxy will not forgive so easily. The council accepted you in front of the crowds, but behind these walls, many plan to destroy you. Daniel's throat tightened. Then why keep me here? Why not send me back to Earth where I'd be safe? Her violet eyes locked onto his, unyielding. Because safety is not your destiny. You were not chosen to hide. You were chosen to stand. Humanity must be seen, even if the galaxy trembles. Her words struck him, part terrifying, part inspiring. He wanted to believe he could stand, but fear still pressed against his heart. I'm not ready, he whispered. I'm just one man. She touched his chest gently. No, Daniel, you are not just one man. You are the start of something greater. The galaxy must. To see that humans are not weak, that they are not to be ignored. You are proof. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He stared out of the high window, watching the stars, wondering if Earth even knew what had happened to him. He thought of his family, of the simple life he had left behind. He wondered if he would ever see it again, or if he was now bound forever to this path. The next morning, the storm arrived sooner than expected. A great alarm shook the palace, red lights flashing across the halls. Soldiers rushed to their stations. The High Speaker himself appeared at their doors, his glowing skin flickering with tension. A fleet approaches, he said. Enemies of the council. They demand the human be handed over. Daniel froze, his blood turning cold. His heart raced as the words sank in. Entire fleets, entire armies were willing to attack for him. Miss Universe's eyes narrowed, her voice sharp as steel. Then they will learn that my choice cannot be taken. She turned to Daniel, her hand gripping his tightly. This is the beginning, Daniel. They will test us. They will push us. But together, we will endure. Daniel's chest tightened, fear rising. But alongside it came something else, a growing flame. He remembered the trials, the council's anger, the crowd's disbelief. He had stood through it all. He could stand through this too. As the alarms echoed through the palace, the human and the Miss Universe stepped forward together. The storm ahead was vast, but neither turned away. For in that moment, the galaxy had already changed, and it was only the beginning. The human legacy. The war stretched for days. The skies above the alien capital were filled with fire and smoke. Council ships clashed with the enemy armada, and explosions painted the heavens in red and gold. Yet through the chaos, one voice had spread across the galaxy, the voice of a human. Daniel stood in the command chamber, his face pale with exhaustion, but his spirit burning stronger than ever. Across the galaxy, millions replayed his words. Humans endure. Humans survive. His speech had reached not only the council's soldiers but also the enemies. Whispers grew among them, some questioning why they fought. Miss Universe stood at his side, her presence steady as stone. She saw what Daniel could not, that his voice had already shaken the balance of power. They thought to destroy you, Daniel, she whispered. But instead they made you eternal. Even if they win this war, your words will outlive them. The final battle came at dawn. The enemy unleashed their strongest warship, a colossal vessel the size of a city. Its cannons glowed with energy strong enough to tear worlds apart. The council's fleets faltered, fear spreading like wildfire. Daniel's heart pounded as he stared at the massive screen. We can't stop that, he whispered. The High Speaker looked ready to surrender, but Miss Universe stepped forward, her voice sharp as lightning. No, we will not kneel, not while a human still stands beside me. She turned to Daniel, her violet eyes blazing. This is the moment. Speak again, Daniel. Let the galaxy see you. Let them feel what it means to be human. Daniel's throat felt dry, but he nodded. The message was sent once more. His voice carried across every ship, every station, every world that watched in fear. I am only one human, but you call fleets against me. Why? Because you fear the truth. You fear that humanity cannot be broken. You fear that one day, humans will rise not as slaves or servants, but as equals, stronger than any crown or empire. His words struck like a blade. Across the enemy fleet, hesitation spread. Some ships faltered, some soldiers refused to fire. A spark of doubt had cracked their unity. Then something impossible happened. The massive warship turned its guns not on the council, but on its own fleet. A commander inside had been moved by Daniel's words, refusing to fight for hate any longer. In moments, the enemy lines broke apart, confusion spreading faster than fire. The council forces rallied, striking hard. The enemy fleet scattered, some fleeing, others surrendering. The war that had begun over a single human ended with the galaxy trembling in silence. When the battle was over, Daniel stood on the balcony beside Miss Universe, looking out at the stars. Billions across the galaxy watched. Their eyes no longer mocked him, their voices no longer cursed him. Instead, they whispered a new word: respect. The High Speaker himself bowed before them, his silver skin glowing softly. The galaxy has witnessed a truth today. This human has changed everything. He is no longer just Daniel. He is the legacy of Earth. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He never wanted crowns or power, but now he carried something greater, the future of his kind. He looked at Miss Universe, her hand warm in his, her voice was gentle. This is only the beginning, Daniel. One day, more humans will walk among the stars, and when they do, the galaxy will already know to fear and respect them. Daniel nodded slowly, fear still inside him, but no longer stronger than his hope. He was not just a man anymore. He was the symbol of humanity's unbroken spirit. And so, in that moment, under the endless stars, a new legacy was born. The legacy of a human chosen not for his strength, but for his heart. A legacy that would echo across the galaxy forever. The human legacy. The war stretched for days. The skies above the alien capital were filled with fire and smoke. Council ships clashed with the enemy armada, and explosions painted the heavens in red and gold. Yet through the chaos, one voice had spread across the galaxy, the voice of a human. Daniel stood in the command chamber, his face pale with exhaustion, but his spirit burning stronger than ever. Across the galaxy, millions replayed his words. Humans endure. Humans survive. His speech had reached not only the council's soldiers but also the enemies. Whispers grew among them, some questioning why they fought. Miss Universe stood at his side, her presence steady as stone. She saw what Daniel could not, that his voice had already shaken the balance of power. They thought to destroy you, Daniel, she whispered. But instead they made you eternal. Even if they win this war, your words will outlive them. The final battle came at dawn. The enemy unleashed their strongest warship, a colossal vessel the size of a city. Its cannons glowed with energy strong enough to tear worlds apart. The council's fleets faltered, fear spreading like wildfire. Daniel's heart pounded as he stared at the massive screen. We can't stop that, he whispered. The High Speaker looked ready to surrender, but Miss Universe stepped forward, her voice sharp as lightning. No, we will not kneel, not while a human still stands beside me. She turned to Daniel, her violet eyes blazing. This is the moment. Speak again, Daniel. Let the galaxy see you. Let them feel what it means to be human. Daniel's throat felt dry, but he nodded. The message was sent once more. His voice carried across every ship, every station, every world that watched in fear. I am only one human, but you call fleets against me. Why? Because you fear the truth. You fear that humanity cannot be broken. You fear that one day, humans will rise not as slaves or servants, but as equals, stronger than any crown or empire. His words struck like a blade. Across the enemy fleet, hesitation spread. Some ships faltered, some soldiers refused to fire. A spark of doubt had cracked their unity. Then something impossible happened. The massive warship turned its guns not on the council, but on its own fleet. A commander inside had been moved by Daniel's words, refusing to fight for hate any longer. In moments, the enemy lines broke apart, confusion spreading faster than fire. The council forces rallied, striking hard. The enemy fleet scattered, some fleeing, others surrendering. The war that had begun over a single human ended with the galaxy trembling in silence. When the battle was over, Daniel stood on the balcony beside Miss Universe, looking out at the stars. Billions across the galaxy watched. Their eyes no longer mocked him, their voices no longer cursed him. Instead, they whispered a new word: respect. The High Speaker himself bowed before them, his silver skin glowing softly. The galaxy has witnessed a truth today. This human has changed everything. He is no longer just Daniel. He is the legacy of Earth. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He never wanted crowns or power, but now he carried something greater, the future of his kind. He looked at Miss Universe, her hand warm in his, Her voice was gentle. "This is only the beginning, Daniel. One day, more humans will walk among the stars, and when they do, the galaxy will already know to fear and respect them." Daniel nodded slowly, fear still inside him, but no longer stronger than his hope. He was not just a man anymore. He was the symbol of humanity's unbroken spirit. And so, in that moment, under the endless stars, a new legacy was born. The legacy of a human chosen not for his strength, but for his heart. A legacy that would echo across the galaxy forever.